we can talk to, I can call Corey literally at any time and be like, hey, I'm having a weird problem with this product. And
try this.
It's just,
there's people to call and talk to, and everybody's helpful.
We've been saying it all
Like
weekend.
No one's like, it's not like within the group, people are trying to like, that's my business, I don't want you stealing my business away, or you might hurt my sales, or everybody's just like, yeah, this is how you do that, and here you go. Yeah. It's right
or
here.
this is what we did, and you can tweak it this way. Or this might work for you, it might not work for you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Linell Greaney. I'm the original owner of RI Motorsports Detail. I started the company back in 2016, mostly mobile, out of the back of my Honda Civic, which upgraded to a van that got destroyed in a winter storm, and then went to a Toyota Camry, went to a Honda Element. First shop was in Richmond, Rhode Island, which is almost Connecticut. And then I had met John working an overnight job, and we kind of clicked immediately, just the way we worked together at that job. And then he wanted to get out of telecom, which he had done for many, many years. And he said, when you want to make this thing bigger, you want to move it to Massachusetts, because I'm not driving an hour and a half to Richmond, Rhode Island every day.
No, I was not.
You let me know. So we moved RI Motorsports to Franklin, Massachusetts, and we've been there 7 years coming up this September.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I'm John Ryan. I'm the other owner of RI Motorsports in Detail, located in Franklin, Massachusetts, ironically. I was a network engineer and electrician for 25 or 30 years, and I got sick of it. So I needed to make a change, and it just so happens that he wanted to move the detailing business in a better direction, and it was just where it was at, and I liked the idea of doing that. I had a shop when I was younger doing the same thing. Took a break from electrical stuff and network engineering back then too, because it burns you out. And we linked up from an overnight job, and it's been great ever since. A lot of ups and downs, but that's how small business goes. So, yep, that's how it goes. So some years are really good, and some years you just struggle.
But you make do.
What do you like about where you guys live in Massachusetts?
So we're in a pretty affluent area in Massachusetts that's not Boston, right? So we're in Franklin, Mass, which services, there's Franklin and Foxborough, and if anyone knows, like New England Patriots, that's where they play there. We have some Patriot players, but then we can go 40 minutes north, you're Boston. You go 30 minutes south, you get Providence. You go 30 minutes west, you get Worcester. So we're centrally located in all these really great places that allow us to do what we do to the level that we do it.
Yeah, it's nice being able to be within that. Our radius is pretty well defined in terms of the same type of clientele. The communities within that radius are fairly the same, really, with the exception of maybe close to Providence. But otherwise, it's a reasonably comfortable clientele with disposable income that we can service on a regular basis.
And where we're located, we're literally 2 miles right off of one of the main highways.
Yeah.
That goes through.
Yeah, it's a 5-minute drive off the highway.
How you kind of found that?
So for me personally, my mom was an accounting and human resource manager for an aftermarket auto body warehouse that distributed all over the country for many, many years. So cars have always been a part of my life. When I was 16, I started getting into detailing a little bit, and I really got into the stuff you get off the shelf at like your local Walmart, like the Mothers, and spending 3 or 4 hours cleaning my wheels to go to a car show and just making my car look clean and showing up, get to the car show, and you clean it for an hour before the show starts. And then I started doing it as like extra income to do during the summer, and I'd make some money doing that. And then throughout all my career that I had at the time, I wanted to, the passion grew and it grew and it grew. And at that same job that I met John, I met another guy that had a small business, and he's like, you're really good at doing this, you should do it professionally. And I'm like, maybe. And then I turned it into a professional business in 16, and it kind of just took off from there. And the passion for it, while you're going through that process of the 20 plus years I've been doing it, you teach yourself the paint correction. You practice on junkyard hoods, and you bring back this hood that was totally destroyed. And you're like, can I get another one? And it looks brand new. And they're like, yeah, go grab whatever you want. And you kind of realize that when you're done doing what you're doing, it's an instant gratification for not only yourself, but then a client gets to see that on the other side. So it kind of makes everybody super happy for I had this vision in my head for what I wanted my car to look like. And it goes from there. And then just meeting John, who was like-minded, it just made it so much easier, because we have a really good symbiotic relationship on how we think Not just on a business sense, but when we think and it comes to the details and how it comes to wanting an end result to come together. And he may have 97% of the piece of the puzzle, and weirdly I'll come in with 3%. And some days it's the other way around. And it's something I've loved my entire life. Cars have always been a part of my life. They will always be a part of my life. They'll continue to be, I'm turning my son into a gearhead now. So it gets more fun as you get older.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up with a dad that we always washed the cars on Saturday, and I loved having cars when I was a kid. I just liked cars in general. Not that my dad ever had anything really. I mean, my dad had an Oldsmobile 442, but he sold it to buy my parents' first house. So I have really no recollection of it. I just know he had one. I've seen a picture of it one time. But it was something that every weekend we cleaned the cars. That's what we did. And there was always time made for it. And you didn't go through it just to quickly wipe it down and move on with your day. We got out all the stuff. We washed the car, we dried the car, we made the tires look right. My dad made sure we washed the engine and did that because my dad needs to, Linell knows, my dad needs to make sure the engine's clean because if it's not, we gotta do it again, right? Like that's how it works. And I mean, I went to school to be an electrician and I ended up doing network engineering after that, but I never lost the fun passion. Like in my head, I was like, that was always fun. If I can figure out how to do that for work, which won't seem like work, that sounds like more fun to me. And we don't work a day in our life. We work really hard and we go home exhausted a lot, but it never really feels like work. It just feels like you did some fun stuff for the day. You're just exhausted from doing it, which is really ideal.
Yeah, which is funny because I went to college for automotive technician and electronics engineering. Hated electronics engineering, just focused on automotive technician.
Yeah.
So cars were still part of my life. I thought I'd be a mechanic or own a speed shop. And it's just weird how like that changed, but going to college and then I found a job at FedEx. I was a truck driver for 12 years, but doing this in the summertime as a hobby and then meeting someone who's like, let's make this awesome thing that it's grown into. It kind of changes your life. And what was it, about 3 months? Every Monday I'd call you and be like, I'm gonna quit my full-time job.
Oh my God.
And do this. And he's
Because
like,
we had the shop.
yeah, and he was
And he's like, I'm gonna quit. I'm like, you make sure you know what you're doing, because once you go down that road, there's kind of no takesy backsies, right? Like once you do it, just be comfortable. This is the first thing I said to him before we did anything. He was over my house and I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? He was like, yeah. I'm like, you super comfortable being broke for like 5 to 7 years? Because that's probably what it's gonna take to make this really, really something.
And I said yes.
He was like, yeah. I'm like, you said that really fast. You should just slow it down and think about that for a second, because that's really what happens. Yeah. And we were broke for a long time.
I took my life savings to build out the shop. I took my 401k and my pension out of FedEx to make it this awesome thing and kind of pay us for the first few months to really get our feet on the ground. And then we hit that magical year of 2020 and we hit COVID and we struggled. I tell everybody the truth numbers. John and I took home 14 grand.
Really low number.
Right? Poverty level.
Right.
But if you think about it, like we got kids, we got families, we got houses and lives, but we made it work. And then we got to 21 and we got past that hill, and then we just let that compound get bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. And that's then we found the CarPro family. I mean, we found Grant.
Grant.
And then we found the CarPro family.
Yeah. He thought it would be a really good idea.
If we would just
leave the company we were with.
It has been an amazing journey since then.
How do you express that to a customer?
That's easy. We say that to almost every
Yeah,
client.
we tell almost everybody.
That if we didn't need money to pay for things, we would do it for free.
We just do it.
And that's the truth. Yeah. And that's not us like just trying to like pump somebody up. Like honestly, if I didn't need money to do stuff, or I happen to be like a trust fund baby and I was bored, I would do this for free because I love doing what we do.
The results make it worth it. And when the client comes in and they're like, holy crap, that's my car? We're like, yeah.
And we were just talking
about it.
We did it
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. We had a client come in and she did not she got a brand new Durango and it didn't look the way it's supposed to. And she came in for us and then it went back to the dealer to get fixed. And it came back to us and she was like,
just fix it.
How did you guys do this? We're like, well, I mean, when this is your passion.
It's 10 hours of work. That's how we did it.
Yeah.
It's 10 hours of work, having experience and knowing how to do it and knowing what to do and how to do it to make it look like that. Yeah, she went over that thing with a fine-tooth comb, looking at every, like, she had a handful of things where she was like, and this is messed up, and this is broken, and this is wrong, and she had all kinds of stuff. And when she came back to go over her car, all of those problems were solved. Well, with the exception of the cover on the engine was missing, but that's not my problem. That's somebody else's fault.
Relationships with customers, and is that a rewarding part of what you all do?
One of our number one clients will call me at 10 o'clock at night just to shoot the shit, or be like, I saw this YouTube video, made me think of you. Or, hey, I know you're looking at buying like a 392 or a Hellcat Challenger, but you're looking for a stick. There's one here in Ohio that's within the price range that you're looking to buy. I would say 70% of our clients are friends or have become like a family member. They just show up, they know they can come hang out. In the summertime, they know on a Friday they want to come in after 5. They'll just go right to the back to where the fridge is and grab a beer. We've had clients walk in the shop not saying, it happens with our motorcycle transporter. He'd come in, not say anything to us, crack open a beer, take his first sip, and then go, hey guys.
Hey, what's up? Like, hey Travis, come on in.
Yep.
That's awesome.
But we build our shop, although we're very professional and we have that the professionalism is more the facade for us. Once you get past that barrier of like, we're comfortable being who you are and language isn't really a thing here, and just be yourself. I want you to feel like you're coming to an extension of your home when you come here. We're just two guys that can do this thing, this very particular thing for you that you can enjoy for years to come.
Yeah.
It's not we say it all the time. We don't like the one and dones. We like the long-term relationships. We know, like,
we're nerdy goofballs, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, we can put on a very professional facade when we have to, but I can just turn that right off as soon as possible. That'd be great.
Come on.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Just kind of, I'm trying to get a sense of what has your experience been with the CQUARTZ Linux network?
So I'll touch on the Grant thing, because Grant's kind of how we got into it. So I'd followed Grant on Instagram when his shop he was doing it out of his mom's garage, and then he got kicked out. And then he had the first small bay of the shop. And, if anyone goes way back into Instagram and you read Grant's messages, it's capital letters, G-Rant, that's me. And we would talk all the time for years. And then we finally got to meet him in person when we did the first Your Story for You're Able. And his first thing he said to me was, I'm glad you didn't catfish me, you're really 6'2". Okay, great. Good. I'm so glad that you're actually that tall. And we started to have that conversation, and he's like, you guys should probably apply for CarPro. He's like, I'm never leaving them. And we were using IGL coatings at the time, and just some things that were happening like on a political side for the company itself we didn't really like, and they changed some formulas, and there was some really bad back and forth. So that's how we got to meet Corey and apply and go through that whole process. And then we went to training for professional, and we got to meet the Kimballs that are out of Washington. We got to meet Jim Hutton, who was also someone I had always wanted to meet, because as far as I knew, he was one of the best paint correction specialists I ever knew.
He really is.
And you come to find
also
out...
a goofball.
Also a huge goofball. Jim...
That's why we get along so well.
Like, being around Jim, and then when you went to a training and you work on a panel for like, I want to say 5 minutes maybe, and having that person that you're like, I look up to you for paint correction, go, you're good.
Yeah.
And then keep going. And you're like, you want me to do anything else? He's like,
no.
Nope, you're good. And then him walk over to John and do the same thing. Like,
you do this little square, and he's like, no, you're good.
It was the validation you were looking for. And I was like, okay, cool. And then once we were in on the professional side, that's when we really got into the network and got to be part of the family chat and really grow.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really grow within the CarPro community, and we can talk to a handful of anybody at any time. We could talk to Joe Torbati. If I'm like, hey man, I got a problem with a Cybertruck, how do I do this? Or if I got a problem on like a business side, we had a big dealership contract. We called Grant. He helped walk us through some of the beginning steps until we can get to another point. Or we talk to our buddy Nate that's out in Texas. Or we can talk to, I can call Corey literally at any time and be like, hey, I'm having a weird problem with this product. And
try this.
It's just...
There's people to call and talk to, and everybody's helpful.
We've been saying it all
Like,
weekend.
No one's like, it's not like within the group, people are trying to like, that's my business, I don't want you stealing my business away, or you might hurt my sales, or everybody's just like, this is how you do that, and here you go. Yeah. It's right
or
here.
this is what we did, and you can tweak it this way. Or this might work for you, it might not work for you.
Yeah.
We're in the New England region, so we get heat, humidity, and winter.
And salt.
and salt and brine and all that stuff, where some other people could get,
the salt.
you know, like Torbotti's got perfect weather year round in California, right? So there's very different atmospheres and whatnot, but I can reach out to any of these guys or gals at any time if I have a problem, and vice versa, they'll reach out to us. And I'd never been, you know, I had used Ceramic Pro is how I started, then I switched to G-Tech because of Grant. Then I switched to IGL, and then when we went to Car Pro, I'd never had a community of people that are like, oh, I'm not here, like John had said, I'm not here to steal your business, I'm here to help you grow your business.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a shop that's 2 minutes down the road from me or 3,000 miles across the country.
'Cause that's how we are. We're like that. We've helped, I don't know how many people. We have people come to our shop, we're like, come on down. There's enough money out there, right? Like, you don't have to steal it from each other. People are going to go wherever they feel comfortable. So maybe they're not comfortable with us. Maybe they weren't comfortable with you and they came to us, whatever. But there's plenty of that mentality where we're just here to help each other. There's plenty of money out there. Let's just all make it awesome. That's what it's like being in the Car Pro world. Everybody's very good at what they do. And if they're not, they have someone that works for them or works with them to get that piece of the puzzle done. It's a really big puzzle and everybody just plays their part.
Maybe advice to someone on why they should prioritize that.
Well, for me, you know, for a very long time, I was just a single dad, but, you know, separated dad from his son's mom, and my son has some special medical requirements. So it is very important for me to be available for him, but to still make sure I can make time for business. So if there's something I can do, being that I do the sales side of everything, I can answer it from my phone, go back to what I'm doing. There's some days that I'm just not going to answer that phone. And we try very hard that Saturday is kind of the question mark day, and Sunday it is a clear, there is no business.
Yeah, don't call me.
You need the day. If I call him on a Sunday, it's an emergency. We'll text and we'll send memes and reels and do all that fun stuff as friends do, but
it's almost
we try
never
very
business.
hard not to be business on Sunday, to just
turn it off.
Shut it off. And if you don't do that for yourself, you kind of lose part of yourself at the same time. We're very big on every year, the last 2 weeks of the year, or between Christmas and New Year's, we take off to spend time with our family. It's our reset for the year. And we know when we get in December, I'm like, we only got 2 or 3 weeks this month.
We're going to cram 4 weeks worth of work in 2 weeks.
But those 2 weeks, it's a really good reset, and we can come back into the new year ready and refreshed and ready to go. But if we hadn't done those things, you know, there was back in COVID when we were just starting to get some money back into the shop. We worked 41 days straight, including Saturdays and Sundays.
Yep, everything.
And on day 42, he and I had a blowout over the smallest thing, screaming at each other. And we weren't even mad at each other, we were mad at the situation.
You're exhausted, just utterly spent.
And the 2 employees we had at that time, they didn't know what to do. And this was the first giant fight we'd ever had. And then that was like 11 o'clock in the morning. By 3 o'clock, we cracked a beer open because the day was over, and we were like, let's just fix this. Had a conversation about it, and then it was over. But it was that day that we were like,
beer.
It was good beer. It was that day we had to stop just chasing the dollar bill.
Can't chase the money.
Or, you know,
don't do it.
I see all these other guys and they're working their butts off 10, 12 hours a day. You have to stop, right? Our hours are 8 to 5 physically in the shop.
Yeah.
8 to 5 soft. But I need to shut it off at 5:30 and I have to be a dad. Or, you know, I have to be a partner for someone, or I have to be whatever it is I have to be. I have to be a son for my mom because she needs me to help her do something as she's getting older. And John can attest, he's got 4 kids at home, all teenagers. Like, he's got to go home and
that's exhausting.
Take that
in case anyone's wondering, 4 teenagers, good luck.
I'm the oldest of 6.
So your parents know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised my dad's not bald.
I'm getting there.
Guy's incredible.
Yeah. You have to put that time into your family. They're your family.
They're all you're going to have at the end.
Right. At the end of the day, if anything happens,
we have to close the doors.
You still have to go home.
Family, yeah.
Right? You still got to go home and be a dad. You can't turn it off. My day's the same every day. I work really hard. I leave the house at 7:20, and I'm back sometime between 5:30 and 6:30, depending on how the day went. And then I cook dinner. My wife is still working. She works out of the house. She's still working. So I cook dinner. We eat. And maybe by 8:30, I can sit down. Sometimes 9.
Sundays.
Sundays. Nope.
Sundays, we have such a routine. Every Sunday is the same thing. We plan our meals for the week. We make sure the food's out of the freezer. We go grocery shopping or take the kids to get whatever they need, which is always something. That's how it works. And you just set aside that time. You have to.
It's important.
Every once in a while, our buddy Grant will call me.
Different Grant.
A different Grant. A different Grant. And he calls at like the worst time on a Sunday morning, and my wife will see it flash across my phone, and she'll look me dead in the face and say, "Don't you dare answer that." I'm like, "I'm not, relax."
I'm Linell Greaney.
I'm John Ryan.
I own RI Motorsports in Detail. You own RI Motorsports in Detail.
I do. Anyway.
We are Team CQUARTZ.
We are Team CQUARTZ.